a formal speech. But before I get into that, it sort of occurred to me recently that you guys might not actually have that much idea of what university involves and how it compares to school, so I thought I'd just really quickly brush over sort of what it is and what's involved with it. First thing, I heard a cell phone ban mentioned earlier today. You don't actually get it sort of enforced at university. You know, like, it's polite not to have your phone on, but you don't get you don't get told off if it is left on. So I thought that was kind of cool. Lectures aren't actually compulsory. You want to go to them, but there's not going to be anyone there saying you have to go. It's the way university works. It's also a small city. I was watching that video a second ago and I recognised at least 4 of them. Ashley's a good friend of mine. And that's, yeah, so this girl, she's studying medicine with me. I saw there was a video earlier on about sort of the social life. That excites me, and I really hope that excites you guys too, because Dunedin's excellent for that. It really is. It's the party city of the south, in fact, of the whole southern hemisphere, to be honest. Which is great. You know, if that gets you working, then you do what you got to do. What else? I'm sure that is. Yeah, so just get on to it. Anyway guys, I'm going to tell you a story in a second. But first I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, yeah? See how we're sitting. So, can I get you guys to throw up your hands to me? I'm going to yell out some subjects, and if you're studying them, just chuck your hands up, yeah? So who is studying English? Excellent, brilliant subject. Mathematics. A few more? Wonderful. The thinkers of the group. What about science? Yeah, you guys are the ones that make this world tick over. You make this place function. Who is studying a language? Got a few. The travellers, eh? Keep your hands up if it's Māori. Fair few. Brilliant. What about computing? Is anyone here taking computing? A wise man. Eh? This world's moving in that direction. Computers are a great thing to harness the power of. They really are. What else have we got? Music. Where are the dreamers at? Go Kill again. 2 points. Excellent. No one down here. Way to go, girl. That's my good. Sports. A few athletes. Fair few athletes. I was never an athletic kid. Just girly wrists. Alright. So who here's planning on passing their exams? Yeah, nice. Who here thinks that they actually will pass their exams? A few less? Who wants to pass their exams? There should be every hand in the room up right now, apart from maybe the teachers. Yeah? Because I promise you that passing an exam feels a whole lot better than failing it. Right? I'm going to tell you a story in a little bit. But first, I want you guys to consider this question, right? This question is potentially the most important question you can ever ask yourself. So what do you want, right? What do you want in life? What do you want from this world? You know? Because if you don't know what you want, then you're going to really struggle to get it. So you've got to work that out fast. Just to get you guys thinking, I'm going to give you a few examples of what a lot of people want. Stable family, right? This is a pretty common reason for people to go to university. They want to get a stable job, they'll get them a stable income, from which they can raise a stable family. Very common reason, an excellent reason in fact. Money, eh? It's a motivator, let's be honest, don't pretend like it's not. A lot of things have been done for money. Brad Pitt. Boys, eh? A husband. You make a fine one. If you think about it, actually, all you got to do is be better than Angelina Jolie. Or at least convince some of that. Girls. A few boys are like, yeah, that's me. That was definitely me. And I thought the best way to get them was by getting one of them. BM. 2010 5 Series BMW. Thought this was the sexiest car out. Right, so I got this plan. I'd been through a bit of a rough breakup in year 13, and I thought, right, I want to give me some girls. And I thought the best way to do that was by getting me a car. Like that. I knew that the best way to get a car was to get money. And to get money, I figured the easiest way would be to become a doctor. Right? So, I went along and I followed through my plan, because it's logical, you know? It makes sense, the process makes sense. However, there was one crucial flaw in it. Girls don't actually like cars very much. They're kind of a boys thing. So, yeah. Anyway, in year 7, I bought a guitar. I was living in Taipei at the time, and this is my mum over here, for those who don't know her. She agreed to let me buy this electric guitar, which at the time she didn't know was actually a huge mistake. I wanted the drums, but the drums didn't have a volume button, so we compromised on an electric guitar. Anyway, I went along, I jumped on TradeMe and found this brilliant thing. It's a Fender Stratocaster. We had a little lamp to go with it, so we went up to Auckland and we drove all around. Turns out Auckland's actually a huge city, right? You can drive around that place all day. We literally did. We picked up this guitar and this little lamp, and we went back to our hotel room and pissed everyone off so much. We were so lucky we didn't get kicked out. But anyway, so we're on the way back. We swung by my cousin's house, and she told me how to play this song. Can you throw your hands up for me if you've heard of Nirvana? It's a few. Okay, it's good. These guys are my favourite band anyway. I thought they were brilliant. And she taught me how to play this song. I'd never played a song before. I thought this was so cool. Right? Hamilton. This is where she lived. So she taught me how to play the song, and the whole car ride home. I was thinking, right, I love this song. So now 2 or 3 hours drive from Taipei to Hamilton, and the whole time I was stretching my little fingers because I couldn't hit the frets on the key on the fretboard. So I was stretching them out, trying to get them so that I could hit those keys. And, I got home and got out my guitar, and no progress whatsoever. Exactly the same. So if you want to learn guitar, that's another way to do it. But dedication is what you want. So anyway, I moved from Taipei down to Christchurch in year 8, right? And Taipei was doing pretty well. I was, it's a little town, and it's pretty easy to do well in a little town. There's not many people to compete against. But anyway, I moved down to Christchurch in year 8, and I was like, so I didn't have a whole bunch of friends in year 7. So I was like, right, let's sort this out. It's a new opportunity, clean slate. Let's do this. Let's make some friends. So I did, and I was having a blast. It was great. It was being really sociable. And but I still let my grades slip. I didn't pay attention in class much, and got too involved with the social aspect of it. And I let it all slide down. So then when you go into high school in year 9, and when I come in, I'd been mucking around all year. They stuck me in the lowest maths class, and I was lucky enough, I was in the music class, I couldn't actually go down any further in science and English because it was just sort of one class fits all. But I was really mucking around. So the whole time, right through to year 10, which I believe is where you guys are at the moment. Is that right? Just throw your hand if that's all good. Cool. So right up until about year 10, it's in this sort of downward spiral where I wasn't really doing much with my life apart from playing guitar and socialising. And I actually got pretty down about it, because I had a pretty bleak outlook. Pretty bleak looking future. So, Mum went away about 2 weeks before the big exams came. And we got this babysitter. It was a lovely lady, and she genuinely didn't care what I did. I could do whatever I wanted. There were a few things that I sort of, I needed to eat and keep the house in a reasonable state, which took, I reckon, would that be 2-3 hours it should take. They took me about an hour, so I didn't do a very good job at it. With the rest of my time, I could do whatever I wanted. Right? So I decided this future's looking pretty bleak. Let's try to sort this out. Let's just throw everything we have at these exams. So sure enough, I got my big stack of paper and stuck it on my desk beside me. And I just locked myself in my room for 2 weeks and just studied. All day. it's not pleasant. You got to push through that a bit. Because I remember I went and sat my end of year exams, and I ended up getting 96% in my science exam. Now that was excellent. That put me second top from the class. Right? Previous to that, I'd been sitting on last maths class and solid, bottom 3 in every other subject. So I was real stoked with that. The implications of that, the actual test didn't matter, It wasn't worth any credits, it wasn't worth anything like that. But it showed me something. It showed me that if I applied myself, I could compete at exactly the same level as every other kid that I felt was going places. Right? That was huge. So I figured you guys are all probably from quite mixed backgrounds. But regardless of your circumstances, I'm sure that each and every one of you can think of at least one person that you feel is better set up for success than yourself. Yeah, just one person. Someone that you'd expect to go places. In fact, I want you guys to think now. Think of if you could pick any person, right? You don't have to know them, you don't have to have ever spoken to them, just one person that you feel could be the Prime Minister of New Zealand one day, right? One person. You don't have to know them, they can just be that kid who goes up every week in assembly and collects his award, right? Goes up to the front and he collects his award and he goes and sits down on his own in the front with no other friends, right? You don't have to spoken to him, just picture him, right? And what is it that you think he has, or he has more of than you might, that sets him apart, sets him apart from the next man, sets him up better for success, right? Because I've met with a lot of really successful people through doing medicine. There really are. Any one of those kids could become the Prime Minister if they wanted. And this is what I've found that sets them up for success. These are sort of the handful of things. Yeah? Money would be the obvious one, right? We can't avoid it. Maybe that guy that you're thinking of has more money than you. And I promise you that money actually plays less of a role than we would expect, right? It's much easier to buy a textbook than it is to read it. You get a big textbook, it's probably $100 say. You can pay $10 an hour working at BK, you can pay for that in 10 hours. You can come back and you've read that textbook in 10 hours, I'll be well impressed. Yeah. So money, it plays a role, but it's not as big of a player as one might expect. On that note, I feel that it might be worth throwing out a few ideas of how you can sort of minimise that difference if this is a player. One is the scholarships. I've heard it mentioned down here. They're brilliant things, and there's heaps of them out there. So honestly, go have a chat with either of these two or myself. Or if you actually make it down to Otago, hit these guys up. They're at the Māori Centre at Otago University, and they're brilliant people. They'll help you enroll, they'll keep you up to date with when all your classes are. If you're feeling a bit down and upset, they're there just to chat to, because university, it's hard work, and being away from home for the first time can be a bit rough. So it's really good to have these guys there for you. They'll provide free tutoring, free food. Honestly, they're like a mother away from home. So go hit them up. If you just go out circle them with a white box this spring, you hit them up and you say, Adam sent you, right? Do that for me. These guys are fantastic. I owe them a lot. The second and third thing are kind of interlinked, right? Is support with day-to-day living. There's two parts to it, right? The first one's purely a time management thing. If someone's prepared to do the cooking and cleaning, then that frees up more time that you have available to study with, right? So it's a time management thing. The second thing, I remember whenever I was studying at home, my mum would say to me, she'd say, Adam, if you go and study, I'll do the dishes for you, right? She said, I'll do the dishes. And that, I don't think that meant a lot to mum at the time. She was probably a bit gutted that she had to do the dishes, but it sort of sent something to me. First, it freed up that time, but second, it said that your work is more important, your education is more important than the dishes. Yeah? You guys are year 10. All your job is at the moment is you have to get that education, right? You might not see the applications of it currently, you might not see the uses, and you just sort of have to have a little faith and trust us that you want that, right? So this is your job for the next, if you come out of your teenage years and take nothing away, just take away your education. That's what you need. So that's the second and third thing, is that it helps instills good work ethics. The third thing, that second thing, that work ethics, that's the number one, right? That actually makes a difference. That's what sets the champions aside from the rest. Yeah, it's that work ethic. The second most important thing is it's a little more physical, right? And it's Wikipedia. It's the availability of knowledge these days. It's so there, and it's so accessible. We've got a few people here who maybe didn't have access to this when they were studying, and it's hugely helpful, right? Wikipedia and YouTube, and it's all free. Yeah. Whenever I study, what I do is first I jump on YouTube, right? And I lay the foundations, because videos are just really easy to watch. You jump on there and you say, okay, what did Hippocrates? What was his philosophies? Bang, it's up there. You just sit down for 5-10 minutes and it gives you a reasonable overview. You can learn about the venous drainage into the heart, or the physics behind the automobile, and it's all really simply mapped out for you. It's brilliant. And then from that, you take your foundations and you splice it up with a bit of Wikipedia, because you can get more depth with that, right? So you take your YouTube, your Wikipedia, and then you start going through the textbooks. So this is the third one. Yeah, so I studied for the rest of my exams, and end of year 13, I was like, right, I'm going to university. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was still playing guitar, I was still loving it, and I was still wanting to be a rock star. But I didn't know really what I wanted to do. So I figured, alright, well, we're going to go to university. Why not do a medical degree? At least if you do a medical degree, people will take you seriously and they'll listen. So I jumped into that. And I did this thing called health sci. You guys throw up your hands if you've heard of it. No one? Okay. That's right, that's good. You guys, I haven't heard about it in year 13, so it's maybe something you guys will hear about in a few years' time. But if you want to do stuff like dentistry, physio, pharmacy, pharmacology, all the sort of the health sciences, medicine, that's the program that you enter through. So if you want to have a chat about that, feel free to come up to me later. Anyway, health science is hugely hard work, right? Unpleasant at times because of the sheer volume of stuff that you need to learn. But I feel like I grew up a lot from doing it, and this was these are the 5 things that I took away, right? I actually stole this from someone else, so don't take my word for it. But I thought they were pretty good. So you need to have a positive attitude towards learning, right? This is so crucial, right? You guys want to be a sponge for knowledge. It's actually really interesting stuff. What your teachers are teaching you is purely solutions to problems that mankind has encountered in the past. Yeah? And so what they're teaching you is solutions to that. Because someone's faced a problem, and they've gone away and they've worked hard at it and they've figured it out, and they then documented what they found, right? And they then took what they've written and they stuck it in a book. Those books then accumulate in libraries, most of which are in brilliant places like this, Otago University. And then someone comes along, like your teachers, and they come and they learn some of those solutions, right? And then they go away and they try to distribute them to you guys, right? What they're learning is solutions to problems, so you should embrace it as much as you can. Have a positive attitude to learning. Second, you need to take notes, right? This is kind of boring, this one, to be honest, but it's quite important. I know I didn't take any notes in first year, and I do regret it. Because notes are useful for 2 reasons. One is that it helps to remember, it does. It's kind of painful, like sitting there writing it out for ages, but you do seem to remember it better. 2 is that then once you've figured it out, then you've got to document it. Then you've got it written out saying, this was the problem, this is how I solved it, the answer to it is this, right? And you can flip back and be like, oh yeah, that's right, that's how I did it. So take notes. Don't be late and sit in front, right? You go in, you sit there, you sit bang smack in the centre, right? Just like this. And you sit there and you stare at the teacher and you say, yeah, I'm ready. I'm here, I'm ready, let's learn, right? Because that does a few things. One, it shows your teacher that you're there and you're keen and you're eager and you want to learn stuff, right? Teachers appreciate that, you know. Their job's to teach you guys. And if they see a student who's really keen on learning, then they'll embrace that. So, go on and sit up front. Also, it means you can't fall asleep. It's really easy to do in lecture theatres. But if you're sitting up front row, it makes it more difficult. So take it. So don't be late, sit in front. Participate in class discussion. Right? This is hugely useful. Because if you can teach someone, then you understand it, right? And it helps you solidify your knowledge. It's also useful because if you don't understand it, then it points out where you don't know, right? It shows you where your knowledge is lacking so that you can then go and fix it. That's also very important. You'd rather know what you don't know than not know that. So participate in class discussion. Actually, just another little plug for the Māori Centre. They're really good at setting up stuff like that. So if you guys do make it down there, you should go help them out. And the fifth one, don't be afraid to visit your teachers. It sort of ties in with the third one. You know, they're really keen for you guys to get amongst it and say hi. I didn't like English. I didn't like English much as a subject in school, so I'm going to use this as an example. How well you do in English is completely proportional to how much you put into it, just like everything else in life, right? What you get out is what you put in. I didn't think there was much application for English at the time. I sort of figured the most this could serve me was getting me into Auckland Medical School if I didn't make it into Otago, right? So I figured my plan was I was going to excel in the sciences and I was going to pass English, right? Now, pass required me to turn up to most of my classes. It required me to complete the required work throughout the year, a little more, and it required me to put in a bit of preparation for the end of your exams, right? That's a pass. Now, a fail requires less than that, and to excel requires more work than that. It's that simple, right? What you get out is what you put in. Ultimately, the results of the test only matter as far as the downstream consequences of the result, right? So, if you fail the test, it's not failing the test that matters. Not better yet, actually, if you pass the test. It's not so much the passing of the test that matters, it's the good life that comes out of it, right? It's the motivation is not to pass the test, the motivation is the good lifestyle. Passing the test is merely the tool that you're going to use or employ to get you there, right? So use that as your motivation, it's better. One of the reasons people don't apply themselves, fail or drop out of university, is that they can't see the application. Thus they lose the motivation. But it's really important that you can't always see the application of what you're learning sometimes, right? You know, you can't always connect the dots looking forward. Sometimes you just got to connect them looking back. Have a little faith. So I was going to talk about some role models today. And I've got quite a few of them, I'm not going to lie. However, this one right here, this is quite a big role model for me. And she's not very accessible to you guys, right? It's difficult for you guys to call her up on a Friday night and be like, Adam's mum, I'm having a real hard time. Yeah? So I figured these guys might do better for you. Because they're all accessible. You guys can all stick them through YouTube and they'll all tell you brilliant, brilliant things, right? These guys, the wicked thing, I'm not sure if I've said this yet, but I sort of want to be a rock star when I grow up. And where this applies to that is I can look at, see that guy in the middle, right there, it's Kurt Cobain. It's my favourite guitarist of all time. And I can log on and get guitar lessons on YouTube for free for him and any other musician that I want, right? Provided they've stuck it up, obviously, but a whole bunch of them have. And then, if I get bored of having music lessons from Kurt Cobain, I can go and learn computing from Bill Gates, or Einstein wasn't around before computers, but you know, all of these people have brilliant stuff to offer you, so get amongst it. Because time's a limited resource, you just can't do everything in a day, right? Which ultimately means that you got to prioritize stuff. You got to work out what it is you want, and you got to ask yourself how bad you want it, right? Because if you want it real bad, then you got to be prepared to prioritize that above things that you don't want so bad, right? It's all a balancing act. So you need to ask yourself, how much do I want this, right? Do I want this more than I want to party? Do I want this more than I want to watch TV or play video games? When your alarm clock goes off at 7 a.m. in the morning, you got to ask yourself, do I want this more than I want to sleep? Because if you do, then you got to get up and you got to make it happen, right? Yeah, so it's that simple, really. All it boils down to, all that those 6 people have in common is that they have drive and they have ambition, right? They have the ambition because they can dream and they can see what they want, right? And they have the drive to go out and make it happen. I'm hoping you guys recognize this guy. He's kind of famous, but I'll let him take it away. Sorry about this, guys.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest myths. The separation of talent and skill is one of the great. The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate with people, with your artistry, the way that you want. So the only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die. It's really that simple.
One summer, his dad tore down a brick wall on the front of his business and told 12-year-old Will and his 9-year-old brother to rebuild it. A job they said was impossible. It took them a year and a half, but they did it.
And he said, now don't you ever tell me it's something that you can't do. You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall.
Cool. It's pretty simple. Ambition is all he's got. Ambition. I don't know if there's any English teachers here, but Shakespeare loved it. So if you don't believe me, go help them up. Right? Ask them about how much Shakespeare loved ambition. Now I'm not trying to say you guys have to work to the point that you die on a treadmill at home, right? All I'm trying to get you to do is understand the relationship between the two, right? So, you know, if you're quite happy just having a nice house and a stable income, it's excellent. You still need to work for it, but you won't have to work like this. You know, just work out what you want and realize that, you know, it's proportional. So just work out what you want and then work towards that. I'll admit, so far, that the focus has been somewhat on education. And I think there's two aspects to that. First, I'm still wearing my Target t-shirt, so I should be. But I think it's really important education to do. Which is kind of the straightforward and the obvious path. But I just want to reassure you guys that this stuff is completely relevant to every walk of life, right? If you can integrate this stuff in your everyday, then you'll get places, right? I was on Facebook one day and I saw this. It says, when I was younger, I knew I could do anything. Could be the president if I wanted to, but I thought it was a stupid idea. I'd rather be a rock star. So, yeah. You can do whatever you want. You're going to fail, so fail fast, learn from your mistakes. This is where it's going. You've got to fail to succeed. So it's the take-home message, guys. Reality in this world is you can be whatever you want to make of it. You just need to work it out, what you want, form a logical plan of how to get there, and work it at one brick at a time. These are all great minds, right? All brilliant people. There was a wise man who once said, Confucius was his name, he said, the man who said he can and the man who said he can't, generally speaking, they're both right. None of these, in fact, maybe one, not all of these great minds went to a New Zealand university. But if they had, would have been Otago.